Hello, I'm Ken Farr. Grab a tea or coffee and join me now for this week's Baton Rouge Press Club Highlights Report.
What I'm going to do, given that undoubtedly you've heard partisan talking points from either side about Governor Edwards' political position, I'm going to argue both sides of the issue, as in I'm going to give reasons he could be reelected versus reasons I don't think he could be reelected. And the soundbite that I think should preface this is this: I think Governor Edwards is in good shape, but not great shape politically. The reasons I think he could be reelected, let's start off with those, I believe in always starting with the positive. He has had a good approval rating, more specifically by looking at Morning Consult polls, which are published nationally for all 50 states. They track the approval ratings of all the governors across the nation on a quarterly basis. And what Governor Edwards' approval ratings have been since the first quarter of 2018, he's hovered around the 50% mark in terms of approval, which again is good but not great, because of course approval rating and what you'll get in an actual election do not necessarily agree all the time. But I do think he starts off with a good approval rating, so that's something that has to be counted as a positive. I also think too, whenever you're talking about elections, a lot of times I deal with data, which is really more the theoretical, but elections have candidates, and what the personality of those candidates is or are is very important, because you're talking about candidate quality. I think Governor Edwards benefits from having a good work ethic, meaning that he's done an excellent job of basically giving the impression that he's paying attention to everything going on around the state, that he's interested in Louisiana, that he doesn't have ambitions higher than that of Governor of Louisiana. Also, that work ethic matters very much if you're talking about a candidate, trying to get that candidate to raise the sufficient funds to be reelected, because of course the elections in Louisiana are certainly not fought over stump speeches, they're fought over the TV and or radio airwaves. And towards that end, Governor Edwards is a disciplined fundraiser, and I think that's something that has to be included as a positive in terms of assessing his chances for re-election. In other words, he's not going to be caught insufficiently funded this fall, and I would certainly expect that the $10 million that's sitting in the campaign coffers, you could easily add a couple more $1 million to that by the time qualifying comes around. The third thing which I think benefits Governor Edwards is an improved economy. More specifically, he is in the best position a governor can be in, which is when you take office at the bottom of an economic cycle, it can only go up from there, so to speak. And so when you're talking about a massive multi-billion-dollar deficit that he faced at the beginning of his governorship due to the cratering of oil prices in 2014, the way I look at a cratering of oil prices is once it's hit rock bottom, it doesn't return to rock bottom for some time in the future. So basically what he has the benefit of is oil prices have relatively stabilized. If you go outside and look at what gas prices are here in Baton Rouge, they've generally been around $2.25 a gallon, give or take a few cents, depending on what part of town you're in. But the fact that the economy has improved is something that you have to count as something in his favor, because that makes it much easier for him to make a rationale for re-election is when all things are going good, as opposed to if he were trying to run for an election, say in 2014, when the economy was going sharply in a different direction. So that's something that I think is a benefit. When you're talking about the campaign, right now we know there are two serious Republicans who he's facing. That split opposition realistically means that he has an extra month to hone his skills and put his message out, while the Republicans will not be having their nominees, so to speak, until October 13th. So the fact that the Republicans have divided opposition is something, again, is an intangible that I think works to Governor Edwards' favor. Finally, the last thing which I think benefits Governor Edwards is, given the contentious sessions and special sessions that we have had, that he could certainly make part of his re-election messaging that he is in the middle of the road staying above the fray while those legislators are fighting his program.
Join us every Tuesday for the Baton Rouge Press Club Highlights Report, and I will see you next time right here on Newsnet, Baton Rouge.